Welcome to Adjusted Reality, a podcast series trusted by the adjusted and brought to you by the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress, where we learn from athletes, celebrities, influencers, and healthcare professionals about how to optimize health in a fun, relatable way. Join me, Dr. Sherry McAllister, as we welcome the CEO and co-founder of the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation, Kirti Khalsa. Driven by her passion to keep elders a healthy and vibrant part of our community, she has been a yoga teacher to older adults for 20 years. We're feeling very blessed to have her today to go through a lot of what many of you might have in your life right now, perhaps someone suffering with Alzheimer's, or questions about how do we prevent it. So no better guest than to have Kirti Khalsa with us today. Welcome to Adjusted Reality.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sherry. It's my pleasure, honor, and great excitement to be with you and all of you today.
Well, we've got a great number of questions that many of our listeners, they'll have questions about how do we prevent and how do we help move the dialogue around Alzheimer's. And I'd like to start off with the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation that you're a part of. Can you give us how did it begin and a little bit about what the mission is and how you look at information that comes in to help consumers about Alzheimer's?
So I'd be happy to, run through this. First of all, I want to mention that the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation was born out of the hope to create hope and empowerment for people of all ages and all walks of life, and to create awareness about what the ways that we can really take care of our brain and be better stewards of our own health and our own brain. The initial vision for this foundation is really from Dr. Dharma Singh Khalsa, the president and founder, and my husband. He's an anesthesiologist by training, and he had noticed in his extensive medical experience, but also holistic or integrative medical experience, that his chronic pain patients couldn't really think clearly. They weren't very functional, mentally speaking, as they were battling chronic pain of all different reasons. And so he started studying the idea of, what was happening in the brain. And this was well over 30 years ago. And really in 1993, when we founded the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation, there was no discussion about Alzheimer's. Nobody, even in the medical field, very few physicians really thought about, the health of the brain. The brain was thought to be this miraculous organ that was sitting there. And so, it's been an interesting journey and very, very much full of satisfaction and accomplishments. And I'm really very happy to say that we, thanks to our research and Dr. Dharma's vision and the inroads we've been able to make, we've really contributed to making Alzheimer's on the map of preventable diseases. So yes, so that's our mission, is to prevent Alzheimer's or reduce the incidence of Alzheimer's by funding integrative medicine research. So we're only focused on lifestyle in our research and providing professional trainings as well as educational outreach to the public.
Outstanding. Kirti, Thomas Edison was noted as saying something to the effect that the body's sole purpose is to support the brain. And I thought about it because that's a really bold statement, and it's very true. And the brain is such a magnificent organ. And many of us, we clearly never take the time to appreciate why it would be fully encased in bone. It's so critical to our existence. It is the existence of what we have. Aside from that, many people think, oh, the heart is the number one. But honestly, when you think about the heart being able to beat, it can't do it without the brain. And so we need to have that appreciation and sensitivity for how impactful it is to protect our brain and to do the things that are going to be preventative. And that's one of the pieces. As we age, memory and brain health can unfortunately decline, which is a very scary realization for most people. And I'd like to ask you to kind of go into, what do we know currently? And I love that you say prevention, because when we don't know about something, we do actually fear it. And this is going to break away a lot of the fear that many people have about getting older and, oh, I might get Alzheimer's. How does that work? Talk to us more about the prevention of Alzheimer's, and a lot more, because your husband was clearly a visionary. How do we stay sharp as we age?
So I think that the basic message that is easy to understand is that memory loss is not inevitable as we age. Um, we kind of, whether we're older and we see our peers, of course, a lot of elders, are suffering from memory. I'll just say interchangeably memory loss, Alzheimer's, dementia, all these words, just to clarify this. But so whether we're older and we see this in our peers, or we're, younger and we see this in our parents or our elders in our family. And there is the fear factor for sure. I think the key is really to understand that the way we live our life is going to affect our brain. This is really not unlike our heart, our immune system, our arthritis, all
Right.
of that. Yes, the brain, will age, but does that not equal memory loss? So that in itself, I feel it's really a very empowering message. And also, it's never too early or it's never too late to start really taking care of your brain. And how do we do this? We broke it down into 4 pillars. They're the basic lifestyle program. So the 4 pillars are based on, number one, diet and supplements. So what we eat, we know affects our health, our heart, our inflammatory levels, and for sure affects our brain. Supplements are an integral part of maintaining proper nutrition to the brain. Pillar number 2 is stress management, which is still probably one of the most underappreciated aspects of our lifestyle, especially in our modern world. We're bombarded by stress, and it's not going away. It's only getting worse. So really, how do we cope with this and how do we manage that stress is really critical. Number 3 is exercise, physical and mental exercise. They're both really essential. We know that physical exercise, I know that Dr. Sherry, you have talked about it many, many times, is one of the greatest things we can do for ourselves. And we are not that, some of us are not so tuned into exercise, but it's essential, physical exercise, and we can go into more detail about this. And mental exercise is just as essential. So learn something new, a new language, learn to play music, an art or craft. It's also very, very, very beneficial. And then the fourth aspect, the fourth pillar is spiritual fitness. So how do you relate to your higher self? Which I'll be happy to discuss in more detail, but I don't want to take up all the time.
Kirti, you did a fabulous job of really outlining that we do have certain things we need to really focus on, and those 4 pillars really get us to a place where we start to recognize that there are pieces that we as individuals may put to the side at some point in our life because we get busy with other things. And those four pillars are really the foundation of what creates who you are and how you're taking care of your health. And I want to back up just a little bit, because first you said something that I thought was really great is exercise. I do love, and it came down to me just now as I had that epiphany, is can our audience think about exercise not as a an unfortunate thing that has to get done every day, or a pill that they need to swallow. It's like exercise really truly is medicine, but you're not swallowing it. You're doing it from the outside in. So it's really a magnificent way of looking at it. But you look at it as a gift to yourself. And then when I thought about all the four pillars that we're trying to prepare ourselves for, perhaps we could just step back a moment, because those pillars really define what Alzheimer's is. And maybe for clarification for our audience, could you go over what are some of the early onset symptoms and the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, so everybody gets a complete picture? Because some of you may be coming from your youth and thinking, yeah, well, that's way in the future, and we educate you on how to prevent it. But some of you may be in a place where you're questioning your own current brain health. So Kirti, if you could kind of give us an idea of Alzheimer's, what it is and what we look for in either ourselves or others.
Well, this is a great goodness. I have so many ideas and thoughts as I hear you speak. For sure. So Alzheimer's is a neurodegenerative disease that very, very often starts up to 30 years earlier than you or a person has symptoms. So as you can see, if somebody is in their 60s and they're starting to think about it, well, or maybe they're starting to have symptoms, well, that disease started up to, 30 years earlier. So someone in their 30s may already be experiencing some brain degeneration. So the symptoms of Alzheimer's are, of course, memory loss, confusion, forgetting what things are for. So it's not just where did I put my keys, which, I mean, and that is really, I should say, we should debunk that myth of, if you lose your keys, you have Alzheimer's, because we all lose our keys,
Right.
right?
Some more than
Our
others, because
phone.
I travel a lot, Kirti, and I'll tell you what, the hotel key, left it on the desk. Had to go down last night and ask for another key. So yes, thank you. I appreciate you debunking that.
So, or our phones. That's the other two things that make us, modern human beings, is our phones and
Right.
our. So that is not a symptom of memory loss, but not knowing what things are for, or getting confused about time and space, not knowing where you are physically located. For example, we used to do memory screenings before COVID, and one of the questions is where are you, where are you at this point in time? And some people, unfortunately, didn't know that it was a gym or a health fair. They had no idea where they were. So that type of very big memory loss and confusion, disorientation, and also eventually change in personality, or being unable to do activities of daily living, like washing your hair, that kind of thing. So that is Alzheimer's. Not all the symptoms appear at the beginning, and it's progressive, unfortunately, and there is no cure. So one of the biggest or the main risk factor for Alzheimer's, unfortunately, is age. And that's what we see, that up to 50% of people over, I believe, over 80, unfortunately have Alzheimer's. So it is worrisome. It's increasing in numbers, unfortunately. but we also feel that it's essential to know this information so that we can make better lifestyle choices that can help curb that trend. Because I actually, in the last maybe 15 years or so, there has been so much research on Alzheimer's, and because it's really scary, and because there are so many of us, we're all aging, and some of
Yes.
us are, kind of approaching that, and um, we in our society and in this field of work are, terrified to kind of think of what's coming, right? Because if all of a sudden uh, the cases triple, um, yes, it's a really terrible disease for the families, for our society, for the financial aspect and the emotional burden. So there have been so many studies now on all different aspects of Alzheimer's and the progression. And one of the things, what I wanted to get at is one of the things is that they have noticed that in certain, I'll say in the Western countries where there is more education and there has been a push for more information and awareness and choices, there is a curbing of this trend. So actually, there are two things I want to add real quick, and I hope I'm not taking too much time.
Not
But
at all. I'm enjoying all of it.
one very important factor is that we have almost 2/3 of all Alzheimer's cases. So we make up 66% of all Alzheimer's cases. So if you're listening and you're a woman, pay attention, please. And then we also know that Black Americans have a 2 to 1 higher incidence of Alzheimer's, and Hispanic Americans have 1.5 times higher incidence of Alzheimer's. And it's a big conversation. What they're also discovering is that the projected number um, of cases will increase exponentially in developing countries, not so much in the Western. So it's, as I said, it's a big conversation, has a lot of implications, but it tells us that it's possible to change this. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because it has a silver lining and a message of hope.
Oh, we love silver linings at Adjusted Reality. That's what we're here for, is to adjust people's reality so they can see things differently, that they have the hope, the faith, and the love to be able to help themselves first and foremost, because you're no good to someone else if you're in fact allowing yourself to decay, and then help the others around you. So you just brought a great deal of hope to those that are thinking, "Oh, you get it. There's nothing you can do." But I'd like to ask. There's two things that really stimulated me when you said it. Number one is there postulation on why women are suffering more, and also why potentially is the rates going to double and perhaps even triple in the Alzheimer's diagnosis?
Well, I am not a physician, and I will explain this in very simple terms. About women, yes, finally, some more targeted research has been happening in the last few years. Dr. Lisa Mosconi at Weill Cornell in New York, and Dr. I can't think of her name, from the University of Arizona in Tucson, um, have been doing extensive research on women. And the answers are not all out yet, but it used to be thought that women would get more Alzheimer's because they lived longer than men. But
Okay.
now what we know is that menopause um, creates such extensive changes in the brain, which not all of them have been discovered yet. but it's a turning point. And so the hormonal factors affect our brain, period, as women. So I know that there is work, ongoing about this, and but again, it still comes out to let's take care of ourselves,
Yeah.
especially during that time of these changes and after, so that if in fact, estrogen is causing reduced brain tissue and all these things, we can still compensate with more exercise, more stress, better stress management, right? These things that we know will really increase brain function and the volume of the brain, which I can't wait to tell you about.
I'm
And
with you. So there, I mean, it is significant as people do age, as we, as is generally, as you said, 50% of the 80 years plus are going to get that. And there's things that we can do that can help prevent it. And possibly what I would say is that if there is, if damage has been done to the body, the beautiful thing is the body is very resilient if you give it the right environment. And that's where I think, Kirti, the Alzheimer's Foundation has really focused on the body and the right ability to set it up for success, and how you can really program, help, and maintain the focus, concentration, and memory in our busy lives comes from one of those pieces. Sin, can you tell me a little bit about the research that you've seen happening, and how you're making it accessible to the public?
Thank you. Yes, of course. There are a number of research studies going on around the world. What we have been able to do in the last 22 years or so has been funding research, um, supporting other research at other institutions on lifestyle. For example, we supported one on fall prevention, through virtual exercise, and we are still supporting the well-known finger study at the Karolinska Institute, which is the largest prevention study using a finger approach of lifestyle modalities. But we have specifically focused on yoga. And so what we've done is studied a meditation called Kirtan Kriya, that is a 12-minute technique that includes singing out loud in a whisper and then silently, and touching your fingertips. And it has a specific focus of concentration. And so we've seen, in the last 20 some years, that not only it improves memory, it improves all neurocognitive testing measures, it reduces inflammatory markers. In the latest study that we've done at UCLA, actually, it was an interesting moment because the study started and then COVID happened. So we lost the momentum of the study and couldn't really kind of complete the study as was planned. However, thanks to the researchers, of course, but also thanks to such more advanced technology, they were able to do even more analysis than we had initially planned. So again, another silver lining. And we discovered that, this simple, and I can explain it if you'd like later, the simple meditation technique that takes 12 minutes increases tremendously the connectivity between brain cells. So that was one of the discoveries of this last study that was called actually the Pink Brain Project, because we did it exclusively with women participants. And so we called it the Pink Brain Project. So all these really fantastic benefits, plus more biomarkers, Alzheimer's biomarkers that were affected, and resulting in less inflammation, as I said, better memory, better concentration, better mood, less depression, less anxiety, and these things all contribute, right? It's not just, oh, what does anxiety have to do with Alzheimer's? It's a valid question. Well, it does,
Right.
because the long term, and the eff everything has an effect on our chemistry and our metabolism and how the brain reacts to the stimuli that it receives. And so if we're constantly, stress, which, we all have, but we can counteract that with some peaceful time that, takes only 12 minutes and really changes our inner chemistry and improves our mood, our outlook. Um, and we love it because it's also a mental exercise, because it's something new to learn, and it is a spiritual tool, because as many of us here know, a yoga practice is a way and a time to connect with your higher self. And so to get clarity about your purpose in life, and, our choices, and how we're living, and what makes sense. And so it does create that inner peace that helps us be a better person. So this one meditation technique is way, way bigger than a little exercise.
Well, I will say this. In chiropractic, we have a balance of the whole being. And as I hear you really focusing on the gift we can bring our bodies and how intense, and we've had a guest, Anna Lebke, who wrote the book Drug Dealer MD and Dopamine Nation, is you summed up her book, both of them really, because it comes down to the external factors impacting our internal environment. What's happening with the brain? What are you feeding the brain? And you have someone who is beautiful and dressed in pink today for the audience that can't see her, but the Pink Brain Project is really quite outstanding because it's now showcasing how you can bring true health to your life, and it creates a system to which you may not even know the impact you're having while doing it. And I'll tell you, this is kind of one of those keys to the kingdom, and why you come to adjusted reality is you want to know why, you want to know how, and then you take those 12 minutes, which is your when. Can you give yourselves 12 minutes a day to perform an exercise mentally that could change the course of your future? The building blocks that help you nourish your brain, the most vital organ you own, to move forward into a present future that will help, as Kirti just mentioned, concentration, memory, perhaps anxiety and depression. And what's the worst case scenario? You got 12 minutes of meditation. Best case scenario, you become an optimized you. Now, Kirti, the keys are now about to be revealed to you, the audience. Can you tell them? And I know we have a fabulous gift that the Alzheimer's Foundation is going to give every one of my audience, and we'll hold on to that for just a moment. But I'd like you to, if you would, walk them through what that meditation looks like, how they do it, and anything they need to know about this fabulous way to look at building friends in neurons so that they transmit information appropriately.
It was fabulous. Thank you. Of course. So to start, you want to sit straight with your back straight, in a chair with both feet on the ground, or sit in yoga pose. And you want to close your eyes if that's okay, or leave them slightly open. So get into a meditative mode, and your hands are relaxed on your knees or on your lap, and you will be chanting, and of course you'll be able to follow along the music, but you'll be chanting the mantra sa ta na, ma. These are called the five primal sounds because it includes the ah, the elongated ah sound. So sa, ta, na, ma for the whole time. You'll be touching your fingertips according to the sounds. So every time you touch, your index finger is sa, at the middle finger is ta, at the ring finger is na, and the little finger is ma. So sa, ta, na, ma. That's the tune. And it will go 2 minutes out loud, just like this. Sa, ta, na, ma. 2 minutes in a whisper, a strong stage whisper. Sa, ta, na, ma. Then 4 minutes silently as you continue to touch your fingers and just meditate on the sound. You're not chanting it, you're just meditating, saying it silently. And then you go back 2 minutes in a whisper. Sa, ta, na, ma. And then you end with 2 minutes out loud. Sa, ta, na, ma. And we do have a beautiful musical rendition, if I say so. The last element is once this is the basic part, and then the last element is to add a focus of concentration, which is kind of the next advanced step. So don't worry if you can't do it right away, you'll get it over time. But every time you touch your fingers and chant every sound, so each of the sounds, you add a focus of concentration, which is an L form of concentration. So you feel or visualize the sound coming in the top of your head and out the third eye. So every time. So it will go sa, ta, na, ma. So for all those 4 repetitions, you would have done the focus 4 times. So that's the meditation. And it seems more complicated than it is really.
I think once you've done it, you'll not want to stop. And to my beautiful audience, to which we so very much appreciate you. We always want to give you a gift of something new, something explorative, and something that really can enlighten your life and give the gift to others. And as I heard the music, it immediately calmed me, immediately. And with the gift that Kirti Khalsa has brought today in our show notes, we will ensure that you have access to the Alzheimer's Research and Foundation music. It's their creation. They should have the credit for it. But I think as you see it and you learn about it, as Kirti said, it seems complicated. It's very simple, and it's a 12-minute gift you give yourself every day. And as she just sang the words to you, I hope you'll find the peace and the restorative nature of doing these types of events that can connect your brain. So instead of degenerating and unfortunately having the symptoms of Alzheimer's, we can as a nation prevent and have hope and give love and faith to those around that are suffering now so that the future can be bright for all of us. And Kirti, would you give our audience a place where they can learn more about the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation and anything that you think might be appropriate for our audience as they go forward to do their own prevention and help those that are impacted by Alzheimer's?
Sure, of course. The website is alzheimersprevention.org. And for those who may be providers or caregivers and are interested in learning about how to work with seniors or people at risk, we have an online training program, and that can be found at www.arpf.com, which is the initials of Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. Thank you.
Fantastic. We very much appreciate it. We'll make sure we get those all in the show notes so that if you missed it while you're driving and you're like, oh, I really need this, don't you worry. We'll have those in the show notes for you. And as always, it is a pleasure to adjust your reality. I want to thank you, Kirti Khalsa, for being with us today. It was a pleasure. And I hope that the future is bright for many of you out there that are listening as you take that gift in that Kirti has so willingly and graciously donated to us at Adjusted Reality to listen to the music and engage in that meditation. Thank you so much, Kirti, for being with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Sherry, and I wish all of you a wonderful day and really a better adjusted reality. What a great title.
I want to thank you for tuning in to this Adjusted Reality segment as we spoke to Kirti Khalsa about Alzheimer's research and prevention and how to take care of your brain health now. This is the gift you can give yourself daily. Do your own meditation using the music shared in the show notes below, where she will review again the ease of this meditation and the benefits that it in fact will have on you, and also if you share it with the ones that you love. We're going to be crediting the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation for really giving us all that moment of reflection and the ability to cope in sometimes very difficult times. Now, this podcast was brought to you by the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress. As a special gift from the Foundation for listening today, you can visit f4cp.org/health to get a copy of our complete Health Includes Mind, Body, and Spirit ebook. Now, do not forget to subscribe, share this podcast with friends and family, and as you know, I'd love to rate and review if you would kindly. If you're feeling inspired to learn more about chiropractic or to find a doctor of chiropractic near you, visit f4cp.org/find-a-doctor. We appreciate your support and we look forward to checking in with you again very soon.